I'm excited to spotlight a tremendous woman and a friend who is turning environmental science into real-world impact, Micaela Venancio. As a renowned environmental engineer, founder of Be Green, champion of L.O.O.P, a social environmental entrepreneurship led by women, what inspired you to dedicate your life to help people and businesses in their environmental efforts?
I think I've always been driven to connect with people. And since I was young, I had the opportunity to go to different places in our country, in Peru, one of the most biodiverse countries in the world, and getting to know our vulnerability in climate change and being able to study in an agrarian national university. I had the luck to know a lot of people, a lot of places, and to see how really climate change could impact them. I decided that was my life's purpose, to be able to reduce the vulnerability of our country and obviously also reduce the vulnerability of our world.
Your work includes a lot of efforts, including beach cleanup initiatives with volunteers and educational talks, as well as efforts to support the food industry.
Yes.
Why is community engagement so essential to sustainability?
I think because if we don't really create behavior change, then nothing really is sustainable. So it's very important for us, from when I worked at Be Green and also now as a champion of L.O.O.P, to really connect with people, to educate them, and to be able to make them understand easily, and translate the science into real action, what they can do in their real life, in their real everyday life. And as you mentioned, the beach cleanups, most of the people that go to our beach cleanups and that are really enthusiastic about everything related to sustainability are mainly women. So
Interesting.
It is, and I think it's probably because of our nature of being so nurturing as women, to be able to protect not only our children or our legacy, but the world that we are leaving for them.
Many food and consumer brands want to be more sustainable. You can tell that they want to bring to consumers a greener product, but sometimes they feel overwhelmed. They don't know where to start. What's the best place to start? What's the best place to...
I think if you already have a product or you already have a service that you're providing, to first be able to understand the impact that it's creating now. So you decide to use a tool or several tools to understand that impact, specifically on three different aspects. The environmental aspect, of course, which is the one that we work with, social aspects, to reduce obviously any negative impact that they could have, and obviously create with that product or with that service a better lifestyle for the people that buy it, but also for the people that are at the company. But that has to go hand in hand with the economics of it all. So because if you don't really manage to commercialize a product or a service, then and obviously earn money from it, then it doesn't really make any sense. So everything has to go hand in hand. I think that that's the best starting point. If measuring, which is super important, and then taking into account what will be the plan and what are your goals and what you want to achieve at a certain time. So deadlines are very important. And I think that that's something that worldwide we're trying to push with the COPs, with the Conference of Parties, where countries are setting limits for themselves and obviously for in general worldwide, and businesses start to align with these deadlines and with these mitigating plans that are created to be able to obviously reduce our impact.
Interesting. Will you say that measuring certain important variables matter at the beginning?
Yes, 100%.
Let's say water consumption, energy consumption. Try to understand what are the variables that impact the most, or that impact the most the environment, and in consequence, eventually impact your business,
Yes. All the food and beverages, for example, that we work more for, they have different products, of course, and they have different impacts depending on how they produce a product. So if we're thinking about, for example, I don't know, a tin of asparagus. We're thinking about not only the part of the production itself of the asparagus and how much water is being used and how efficient we can be with it, and the energy. Are we using energy which is powered by fossil fuels? Are we using clean energy? Are we trying to make that change? And obviously other variables. And then you also have the packaging, which is also an industry that is trying to shift rapidly. I think consumers are pushing for greener packaging, and that has to do obviously with the waste and how we're trying to move from a linear economy to a circular economy. So obviously the packaging and what materials are used in the packaging and how you transport that one tin of asparagus with a lot of other tins of asparagus. What kind of trucks do you use? How efficient?
Are they being clean?
Are they using maybe gas, or are they using petrol? Are they doing, or electric, or are they doing more efficient routes? No, instead of maybe going from point A to B to C, we go from A to C in a more efficient way. So I think that there are a lot of variables, especially in this industry, where you have a lot of things to consider.
But definitely, it's important to understand where we stand on. What will be your message to the food industry?
We work with a lot of different companies that are specifically in the consumer goods and fast maybe moving consumer goods, in my case now particularly. And I think that they have to try, and that's what we always try to say. I think that we have to try and help them not only in trying to set goals for themselves and how to move to a circular economy, but also try to be one step ahead of national regulations, for example. So that's something that we work also hand in hand with the Ministry of Environment. We work with other national organizations. We're always trying to be very informed of what is already coming out and also things that may be in plan. For example, maybe this year, hopefully, fingers crossed, we get extended producer responsibility law, which means that companies that are producing, for example, and again, a tin of asparagus, have to be responsible for the waste that they're putting into the environment. In this case, you buy not only the asparagus, which is what you're going to eat, but you also buy the tin.
And the water
and the ingredients and the label, which is paper. Mm-hmm. But you only want the insides, really. So what happens with this other part of the product that is left for the consumer to handle? Mm-hmm. So I think that that's something very important that we try to help companies to consider in not only how they design the product, but also how to educate consumers into being able to help them and work together in this extended producer and consumer responsibility, because it's a shared responsibility. I'm producing something that is going to generate a waste, but it also has obviously nutritional value for the consumer. But the consumer is also responsible and has to be responsible hand in hand with the company to be able to dispose that correctly. But companies need to be able to educate consumers in how they handle that. And that's something that is not really so well until now. I think that these past 5 years have been tremendous for education, consumer education. Platforms like L.O.O.P Prosper amplify impact by connecting sustainability with growth. Obviously also leadership, because I know you for a lot of years, for probably 20 years. And I know that you are very driven, not only in what you've been working at in the food industry for, I don't know how many years now, specifically in the agricultural industry, but I know that you're very driven into helping women be able to grow, not only professionally. I think that obviously that's what L.O.P Prosper is trying to, in the end, get. But I think that apart from the professional side, which is very important, I think it's also a personal growth. Yes. And the professional side helps that personal growth. And as a mother myself, I think that it's very important nowadays for women to have that chance. I think you know better than me that in agriculture, being able to work in the field, especially in Peru, gives women the chance to have leadership at home, something that they didn't have before.
Yes.
They didn't have a livelihood. And nowadays, with the boom of agriculture in Peru, women have the chance to be breadwinners, and single mothers to be able to leave poverty and be able to sustain a family. So I think that's been probably one of the most important parts of your entrepreneurship.
Thank you. At LP Prosper, we believe sustainable growth is driven by women who lead with purpose, data, and action. Thank you so much for this interview. It's been amazing.
Thank you.